everybody, it's Miss Fox, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how to use our online databases. I know that you guys are going to get ready to start your research, and you're going to do lots and lots of research, not just this year, but in the coming years, especially when you move on to middle school. So we're going to look at a couple of them today, and then I will make another video just because I don't want it to be too long that will show us a couple of other different databases. But today we're going to focus on two big ones. They're probably where you're going to want to start, especially with what you guys are doing. So let's get started. The very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to log into your portal. So let's start with the NISD Library Services. You're going to look for the little tile that has the book with the Northside N in it. Then once you click on that, you'll come over here to this very first section, Elementary Digital Resources. Next, you're going to be led to this page, and this is where you will find all of the different databases that we have access to here in Northside. The very first one that we're going to check out is Britannica School. So we're going to click on Britannica School, and you're going to get this kind of page to pop up. As you can see, there's a section on articles, images and videos, and biographies. I can come down a little further, and if I'm doing animal research, it's going to suggest some animals that may be more common and popular for research. It's going to have a section on geography. So if you're talking about or wanting to know more about a specific place, this is where you're going to go. Another section that we can use is right here, little search tab, Oregon Trail. Okay, and I'm going to just type that in and see what pops up. Now, right here, it tells me that I have 16 results for the Oregon Trail. When I come down, it's going to have articles, it's going to have videos, images, all kinds of different resources for you to use. I would start right here at this very first one, because what Britannica is going to do is the first option it gives you is going to be more of an overview. And here on the side, if it has this little play button, that means it's a video. So if I click on this, it's going to pull up a video for me.
Moving across the country was a difficult adventure for Americans of the mid-1800s.
Okay, and when I'm done with it, I can click my little X and I'm out. Same thing, this is the video here. Here are some images that might help you get a better understanding of what exactly this particular topic is. Okay, if I come down here and move to the right, there's a painting and then a couple more that kind of depict the westward expansion on the Oregon Trail. All right, so let's say that you're reading this article and it looks great, but you ran out of time. You want to save it. There are a couple of different things that you can do. You can always print it, and so you just click on this little printer icon. You can email it to yourself, which is always easy, but I'm going to suggest you click on Save to Google Drive. And what it will do is the computer will go ahead, because you were logged in, it will save a copy of this entire article to Google Drive for you. I'm going to come to my Google Drive, open that up, and it should be the very first one right here. And sure enough, it says Oregon Trail. If I click that open, there's my article. One of the things that's really important for you guys to start doing and getting into the habit of doing when you're doing research is to make sure that you have citations. That means that you are creating a bibliography, a works cited page, whatever your teacher wants you to call it. It's a page that you use to keep track of all of the different places and all of the different resources you have used to write your essay. We also need to make sure that we're doing it because it's our way of giving the author, the person who originally found that information and put it together for us, we're giving them credit. So we're not just taking, which is essentially stealing, we're giving them credit. And so by giving them credit, they're allowing us to use their information. But right now, what I want to show you is the citation. And there's going to be two different places that you can get the citations from. If you're looking for the citation in an article that you have sent to your Google Drive, if you come down towards the bottom, it will tell you cite. And then what you will write, or rather copy and paste into your works cited page or your bibliography, will be this part right here that's highlighted. So it starts with the quotations and then it ends with the period. Right, now let's say that you are just taking notes and you're not going to send this to yourself in Google Drive. That's okay. You can get the citation over here by clicking on the square with the little check mark on it. So you'll click on that, make sure that it's MLA because that's what we're going to be using. And then this part right here will be the part that you copy and paste. Okay, so I would right click copy, click done. I would go to my Google Drive, start new. I would put Google Docs because we're writing, this is a new doc, and we're going to write works cited / bibliography. Oops, if I could spell that might help. Bibliography for Oregon Trail. Okay. Then I'm going to come down to the body of it. I'm going to right click and hit paste. And now my citation is there. So let's look at this again. One of the things that you're going to see here, and this will be with all of Britannica, is there's an option to increase the font, which is the plus sign, and decrease the font, which is the minus sign. So you can do that if you have trouble reading, but you guys are big kids. You're my 5th graders. And so one of the things that I want to start showing you is introducing you to what this is going to look like in middle school. If you click here on the 2, that means the reading level is going to get more difficult. You can see that the page is already starting to change. And when we come a little further down, you're going to get more text, so more words on the page. You're also going to get more hyperlinks. So this is a level 2. If you're somebody who struggles with reading, this might not be the right place for you. It just kind of depends. But you can tell it's also harder because this is part of the middle school system. So be careful with that, because if you do choose to upgrade your reading level, know that it's going to send you to information that is for more mature kids. You're already on your way to middle school, so that's not really a big deal. Let's say that we're looking around on this page and you want to look at the images. Now this is going to be a little different. The images and the videos will have its own tab. It's the same. You can see those are the same videos, the same images that we had before. It just is in a different spot. And then this is different. It has some related articles. Now be very careful with these because some of them are fantastic and absolutely fit. Some of them are just kind of not the best in terms of whether or not you will want to use them. I'm going to come back because what I also want to show you is the same stuff that we have on the other one is here. Print, you can absolutely do that. Again, citing. So if I click on the square with a check mark, it's going to pull it up the same exact way, and I would just copy and paste that. This has a listening option. So if you are someone with dyslexia, instead of reading it, you can listen to someone reading it to you. And then same thing, increase or decrease the font. If I want to send this to my Google Drive, I'm going to click on this arrow, the send to arrow. And then I'm going to hit Google Drive. And when I do, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to make sure it can verify whoever you are. And then when you come to your Google Drive, it'll be right here, this very first one. Now, we looked at this very first article, but if you come down, there are more articles that talk about and have to deal with the Oregon Trail. These might be articles that you want to look at as well. And same thing, you can absolutely send it to your Google Drive. If you click on this arrow down here, pointing down, that's how you'll open up each of the little subsections. And so that's a basic overview of how to use Britannica School. We're going to talk about the second database for you guys to use today. It's called EBSCO eBooks, and it is just for online nonfiction books. So it's kind of like Sora, except instead of having fiction available, it's only the nonfiction books, which is really great because you can see the pictures and all kinds of resources like you would in a regular book. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to come to NISD Library Services. Then you'll click on this very first Elementary Digital Resources button. It's going to be in the exact same column as the first one, which is Britannica. So we're going to be looking at this one right underneath it, EBSCO eBooks K through 8 collection. Now, please be warned that it will have books appropriate for 8th graders. You guys are in 5th grade, so it really shouldn't be much of an issue. But as always, if you come across a book that is just not for you, then just put it back, return it. It's not a big deal. So we're going to click on that button. And when we do, we will see that we get this beautiful page. Now, what I'm going to recommend to you guys is to go ahead and just start right here by doing a search. If we come a little bit further down, you can kind of restrict your search as to what you want, but we're going to talk about a very basic search. So we're going to use the Oregon Trail again. Type it in, push enter, and it's going to pull up all ebooks that it has available for us to look at. So this down here will be your list of available ebooks. This will show me how many I have. So I have 12 books available. Down on the left-hand side are how you can limit it. So if you want the full text, that means you want the entire book, you can check mark it there. If you want to be able to download it, the amount of a book that you can download will vary by publisher. Sometimes it's only like 5 or 6 pages, sometimes it's 100. And that's again because we want you to be able to access it as needed without having to purchase the whole thing. So I'm going to come down here. You've got all of these filters as well. We're not going to worry a whole lot about that because that kind of gets a little more advanced. But we're going to look at this very first one, the Oregon Trail. One of the cool things I can do without even having to know more about the book is I can click on this right here, table of contents, and it will show me quickly the table of contents within this book. So I can figure out pretty quickly whether or not this is a book that I think will be useful to me. Okay, I'm going to close that really quickly. So I'm going to click right here. When you click on the title, it's going to give you an introduction page. And so what it will do is it's going to tell you publication information, author, and series. And this is important because you always want to make sure that your resources are not too old. I would not use anything that is older than 10 years old. This one was printed in 2017, so it is great to go. Anything that is typically 10 years or older when you're doing research tends to be outdated information. And so we really do want to make sure we're using more current stuff. Down here, it will give you a summary of the book. On the left side, this is what you will click. You can click either one, and that will open up the actual book itself, which we will do in a second. But if you're going through and you want to kind of send this page to yourself, you can go ahead and do that through Google Drive. You can print it, you can email it to yourself, you can save it, you can also cite it. And so if you know for sure that you are going to use this book and you want to cite it, you can click here on Cite. It will open up your citations. We're going to come down and we're going to scroll until we get to this, MLA. That's what we're going to use. So we're going to highlight all of this, right click, copy, and then I'm going to come to my Google Drive. Once my document opens up, I'm going to push enter 2 times just to make sure there's a space in between. Going to right click, paste, and now my citation for this new book is right there. I'm going to try to take off. I'm going to try to get rid of that background color just because we don't want it highlighted. We want it to look a little more professional, we know what we're doing. And so I'm going to highlight it, click highlight, none. See, that should do it. Perfect. I also want to make sure that these are on the same font and the same size. Otherwise, it's going to look very sloppy. So I'm going to highlight all of it. I am going to make it Arial, everything, just in case. And then I'm going to do a size font 12. That tends to be your typical one. Okay. The last thing that I want to make sure I'm doing with my bibliography and Works Cited is that you want it to make sure you are in alphabetical order. Now, I know this may not look like it's in alphabetical order, but because this starts with quotation marks, symbols are alphabetically going to go before your alphabet. So this is correct alphabetical order. All right, I'm going to come back to my EBSCO ebook. I'm going to exit out of this just because I can, and I'm going to come to my PDF full text right here. When I click on that, it's going to open the actual book for me. And so you're going to see, just like you would in Sora, the cover of the book, the picture, and everything else within it. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to have your table of contents. You can click on any part of the table of contents, like maybe this one, and it will take you directly to it. You will use these buttons right here to either increase the size of the page or decrease to make it a little bit smaller. And then if you can only see part of the page, you're going to use your mouse and scroll a little down. Okay? To turn the page, you can either continue to go down, or you can use these little arrows here and it will take you either left or right. Let's say that I really like this section and I want to keep it. I want to make sure I go back to it often. I can download it. So I will click this little arrow that's pointing down, and then I will say I want either the current page or I want from this page to the next 20 pages. If I want to do the entire chapter, I can do that as well. And I would click download PDF, and then it will save it to your computer so that you can access it at a later time. Remember, an even better way of doing things is to send it to Google Drive. So if I wanted to send this entire chapter to Google Drive, I would click on Google Drive up top and I would tell it, I want this section. This section is 19 pages, and hit export. When I do, you can see that it's going to ask, it might ask you for some permissions, so just go ahead and allow it. It might ask you to verify your account. Go ahead and do that. You can see that it has been sent because it says okay. And when I come to my drive, if I refresh this, it should show up as this very first one right here. And sure enough, there is my chapter full of information that I can go through later whenever I want. So those are some quick and easy ways to keep the parts of the book with you when you're running short on time. One of the other great features about EBSCO is you can click this part, search within. Let's say that we're looking about a particular thing within our topic. So perhaps I want to look at, so perhaps I want to look at pioneers. I'm going to make sure I spell it correctly, type it in, push enter, and now what will happen is the computer will find all of the pages within the book that has the word pioneers on it. You can click on one of those and it will take you directly to that page. The really cool thing is that within that, it will highlight the word you looked for so that you can find it very easily within it. If you're on this part of EBSCO and you want to cite it, all you have to do is click right up here, the Cite button. Again, make sure you are using MLA, so you'll come right down to MLA, highlight it, right-click, copy-paste, and add it to your Works Cited or bibliography page in your Google Drive. Like I said, EBSCO is a really good resource for you guys to use for research because it's just nonfiction books. You're not going to find any fiction books within that database. And it is different from Britannica, which is the one we talked about earlier, because instead of having the articles, it's going to have the entire ebooks for you guys to look at. So these are two different places you might want to start your research at, just because they're two very different kinds of resources, but both have incredible facts and information for you guys. And you don't have to worry about whether or not it's true because we've already done all of that part for you. So if you have any questions about either Britannica or EBSCO ebooks, just let me know. You guys know I'm always here to help. Have a great day, everybody.